your silence. And when you ask me what the plan is, I don't know, baby, I don't know. I think that I should go, I need to head on home. Every time I give excuses, I'm so scared in case the truth hurts. I should carry on and tell you, but I don't. Need to get the courage just to help us both. And I've been dreaming of a better place, cause this just ain't the same. And I know you're not to blame, but someone has to take it. Get me out of here quick, cause I'm feeling kinda homesick. I'm gonna go, baby, call my phone. We can work things out, maybe go back home. Cause I've been dreaming of a better place, cause this just ain't the same. And I know you're not to blame, but someone has to take it. Someone has to take it. When you're playing this game, we cannot change this. It will never be the same. And I've been dreaming of a better place, cause this just ain't the same. And I know you're not to blame, but someone has to take it. Girl, you got me all silent when you ask me what the plan is. I don't know, baby, I don't know. I think that I should go and need to head on home.
I think tough as an industry. I think the unknown made it worse, is not knowing how long this was going to go on for. I think if we had that answer, we could have kind of mentally planned for that.
Do you remember when we did, it was all kind of happening and I was a bit like, it's not happening, let's just crack on as normal. And one by one we were getting clients ringing up, cancelling future appointments. Do you remember? There was this one client that kind of tipped me over the edge one day and I just lost it in the back of the night because it was just...
Not having that certainty of what was the right decision to make. You were navigating between trying to do what was best for the business and trying to keep an income coming in so we could pay our staff, but also trying to do good by the staff by making the calls of do we shut, do we not shut, do we...
The cost of living, obviously we had electricity, you know, it's lights, it's hair dryers, like that's what we do, it's all the time. Last year we had 3 price increases in 1 year just by L'Oreal. I mean L'Oreal, that's our main supplier. We can't pass 3 price increases on in a year and they weren't great actually, where they kind of forecasting or giving you the heads up as to what was going to happen. So you're almost having to, I think we did one and we swallowed that a little bit, but then you just seeing, you know, your bills and your invoices are just going up and up and up, but then there's less and less in the bank.
So, yeah, I mean, cost of living crisis, again, the same with COVID, people haven't had as much money, so they've sort of spread their appointments longer. You tend to find the people who come in, for example, for eyebrows now, they might have come in every other week. They're now probably stretching it to six to 8 weeks, or they're leaving it until they're going on a night out, or they're going on holiday. We've lost people because they physically cannot afford to get treatments done, which is completely understandable. Again, we haven't been able to increase prices, because if we increase prices then people will either go elsewhere or just won't get treatments done. And it's hard because I am very busy, but I'm very busy at the prices pre-COVID, so I'm probably not where I want to be, if that makes sense. So I'm not where I want to be cost-wise, but I also would rather be busy then sitting round and thinking, right, I've got an hour now, when's my next appointment in? And also, it sort of, if I'm busy, it can attract new clients. And I think it's going to take years to build back up, because it's affected so many people. It is really sad. You know, there's businesses on this road who've been here for years and they've closed down because of COVID. There's one over the road that was a jeweller's and they've closed down because of it, and it's so sad because they become, although they're like your business neighbours, they've become friends over time, and you know, every morning it's like hi, when you're going home it's bye, and they're not there anymore, and that's hard. And you're seeing new businesses come in and you're seeing a lot of them struggle. And I think this road especially, it's a lovely little road, it's very community, but businesses are popping up, closing down, popping up, closing down, or they're changing hands quite a lot, which is quite sad. And we're very lucky that we've kept the clients that we've kept and we've continued to be busy, and that, to be honest, our landlord's been really good with us here, and he hasn't come back and said, right, that's it, rent increase, because he's lost out. He's kept it at the same, he's allowed us to build it back up to that, and that's obviously helped us.
So the cause of the cost of living rise is inflation. Inflation is due to the fact that the Conservatives printed that much money to give to their friendships based on a bullshit trickle-down policy, which never happened because it never gets beyond the 1%. That money never leaves their bank account, so it doesn't circulate within the high street, it doesn't circulate within the bars and restaurants because it stays there. So that money that was printed, there was so much of it that it's caused a huge amount of inflation. That inflation is now running on food at 16%, but that's year on year. So if it's 2 years of 16%, it's 32%. And I also believe that 16% is low because it's based on their basket of foods that they choose at that time, of which they can choose anything they want. So I believe that the inflation is far higher than what you think. I think the electricity bills, and also, let's not forget, the interest rates that have been pressured onto every single person that owns as a mortgage, that's gone from, because I know I've got a few mortgages myself, so let's say it was £200 a month, it's now £600 a month. So clearly that affects me, because in the growth of any marketplace, you will see that people like who own bars and restaurants, such as myself, the money that we gain is from the thick end of that economy. And if that economy is going through a tough time, it means that the bars and restaurants will be the first to suffer. So we're seeing that now. So I've got friends who've got 30 bars and 20 bars and restaurants. They are somewhere in the region of 25% down. So 25% down, coupled with extra electricity bills, coupled with much, much higher interest on the loans that they've had. And I think you have a surefire way for economy failure.
My name is Alison Quinn, and I'm going to have a quick chat to you about how COVID affected my business. So I'm 43 years of age and I am single, self-employed. I live on my own, and I have had my business, Alison's Nails and Beauty, for 24 years this year. So I've worked solely from home since 2015. So when I've got a small business, it's a beauty salon business. I do nails, makeup, manicures, pedicures, and part of my business is online skincare. So in March 2020, when lockdown happened, I literally thought, what am I going to do? The main part of my business is people coming to me, sitting in front of me and having their nails done. So I remember saying to my brother, that literally the night the lockdown happened, I think it was like the 23rd of March or something, I literally said to him, what am I going to do? And my brother was saying, oh, you'll be fine, you'll be fine. And I was saying to him, I don't think you understand me. I am going to have no income whatsoever. My whole business is customer facing. So we sort of sat and had a chat, and my brother's an amazing entrepreneur, and we sort of discussed the things that I could do. And because part of my business was online sales for skincare, I started to put my my focus and my time and my energy into developing that part of my business, the online side of the business.
So how's the cost of living affected us? Our energy bills have gone up on our business, so that is a real time cost. You know, obviously, personally, I'm going to Tesco to buy my shopping on a Saturday, and you can see that increase. And what that means to me is there's no increase in salary. I can't have an increase in salary till my business gets to the next stage. So what that means is you've just got to cut back. But you know what, that's life sometimes. You know, we've lived quite a life where I think most of us spend more than we have in our pocket, and sometimes you just got to cut back. By the way, I say that, and I know, I don't mean that in an arrogant way, because I know that slight change that doesn't affect me can affect people really, really badly. So I guess I'm probably quite lucky that that extra cost to go in the Tesco, I've still been able to put food on my table, I've still been able to put petrol in my car. So I don't mean that in an arrogant way, but personally, it's just mean cutting back on certain things in my life. Am I optimistic? I'm very optimistic. I think our consumer in general, if they're going out on a Saturday night, they want a top for Saturday night, and one way or another, that our audience will find the money to buy that top on a Saturday night. You know, and what I would say, you know, we have to, again, there's a certain amount of honesty needs to come in with this. Is your product good enough? You know, I mean, across the trade press at the moment, there's lots of stories about certain businesses going under, and you know, when I look at those businesses, they haven't maybe adapted, maybe they've had a business model that hasn't moved forward. You know, you can see big gaping holes in what that business is. I know for us, financially, we need to balance the scales, we need to continue to grow our business, but once we've done that, our business will continue to grow. So all the little things like the cost of the electricity going up, as we start taking over more money, we'll be able to consume that within our business because we've got that opportunity to grow. So over and above that, what we have is the absolute belief. So if I'm struggling to pay the electricity bill this week, and you know what, it might be struggle for the next 6 months, but in my head I know after we get that, that won't be an issue. So I'm not worried about us personally. What I do know is that there will be people out there that are struggling. And I guess this is where, I suppose, the business community, local businesses, local independents need to get together. You know, how can we help each other? I think there's a bigger issue here. You know, you're not really gonna, just sitting around as businesses and talking about our problems, how we deal with it, how, I know, what we've spoken about, maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes, that's not a 15-minute conversation, that's a long conversation. And I guess, for me, we've learned a lot, we've got a really great team. Again, I've been in business 38 years, so, you have to learn how to, it's not the first time I've hit hard times, far from it. So you have to have that ability and belief to come out with the other end.
Hi, I'm Roger Wilson Crane and I am the landlord of the Yew Tree pub in Ormskirk. And we were a little bit blind when we came in. We didn't have the information we would have liked to have, and that's not a criticism of the outgoing landlord. It was just that we could only guess to a certain extent what the costs would be, but the gas and the electric were and have been a bit of a hard hit and worse than we imagined. We've got through it, and we're here in March, and of course once we get to clocks going forward very shortly, and then the warmer weather, that will bring that right down for a good few months, so that will help us. But we're also acutely aware that we will then go back to October, November, and we need to plan to make sure we can survive. We need a good summer so that we have a backup ready for when the quieter time comes. And the cost of living crisis for us here, I have, to be brutally honest, found it not as bad as I thought it would be. Whether that's because when I did my research, Ormskirk is a sort of affluent-ish area, to be fair. So, but yes, it certainly has, I think, affected people coming out for a dinner or for lunch more often than they would not. So I think we still get the people, but we don't get them in repeat as we I think was we'd hoped. But again, with the warmer weather coming, we're hoping that will change.
Yeah, so what happened is beginning of the COVID, it was strange. We didn't know what to do and then they said, we're gonna shut the shops. It was strange, so we closed the shop for 7 months. We didn't know what to do, and then we started losing some staff because they didn't know what to do as well, and they come back. Everything going well after that, but we lose a bit of business. That's another thing, prices going up with everything.
Yeah.
So people actually don't wanna come in the barber shop more often. They used to come every 2 weeks, now they come every month or 2 because they can't afford to pay, and which is electric bills and water bill, everything going increase. So it's a little hard for us, but we're still doing okay.
Hi, my name's Trevor Goodwin. I'm 35 years of age. I'm the owner of T Nutrition. We have 2 sites either side of the River Mersey. We have a retail store in Liverpool city centre on Victoria Street, and we have a store which also doubles up as our warehouse, that's in Birkenhead on the Wirral. By then, all non-essential retail had been shut, so I'd essentially told my staff to kind of stay at home every day. I didn't know what was going on. I was waiting for announcements, and then obviously the furlough scheme got announced, so they all knew it was safe. Essentially, I then just had to pay my staff each month, and then the government would reimburse me 80%, and the grant from Liverpool saved the business. I also took up the bounce back loan as well. I think it was £50,000 bounce back loan I got at 2.5% interest. I think right now I've still got 33 left on it, but I'm paying it back slowly but surely. I think the loan repayments on that is about 988 a month. I think it is, so just under £1,000. But that helped kind of restart the business because I had an awful lot of product go out of date. Certainly kind of what I was bringing pallets in from China and America pre-COVID and post-COVID, the price difference is astronomical. So for example, to fly a pallet in, which can only be 63 inches high, from East Coast America, pre-COVID it was about £400, post-COVID it's £1,600. It's gone up 4 times. So I now need to plan kind of what stock do I air freight in with them limitations, height and size wise, versus what stock I can afford to kind of wait 3 to 6 weeks for, and we can sea freight it essentially port to port, which ironically used to be £100 a pallet and now is £400 a pallet. So the price difference to air something and sea something, it's the same, but now I'm looking at time. You're paying for time, you're paying for delays. So yeah, the electricity bill's up 54% year on year. So I got the cheque through the other day. It wasn't actually a cheque, it was a credit note that had already been given to my energy supplier. So essentially the government's not letting the end user have any kind of money back. It's essentially coming off the bill that the energy supplier knocks off in the first place. But the energy supplier and the government can negotiate what rates go where, and based on how much you spend, how much you use, and what category you fall into. So out of that £3,336 bill, the total relief and help from the government, £54.18. So the government can go, right, we're helping small businesses. But when your electricity bill is increasing by £1,800 and the government are giving you £54.18 towards that £1,800, if I had that cheque in front of me, I'd send it back to them and just pay it myself as a matter of principle, because they're not helping at all. They're really not helping at all. That's a piss take, excuse my French. If you're going to help someone. Otherwise, don't say you are and try and be a knight in shining armour. Don't bother doing it, let me suffer, and I'll figure it out myself. Like I have to figure everything out myself in business. So.
Let it go, the good Lord cry. Let it go, 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 the good Lord cry.